Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. The rain fell like tears from heaven that night, each droplet carrying the weight of broken promises and shattered dreams. I stood at my apartment window, watching a figure hunched beneath the amber glow of the streetlight below. 3 weeks had passed since I had thrown his belongings onto the wet pavement like garbage. And there he sat, Devin White, the man who had carved out my heart with surgical precision and fed it to his own greed. His expensive jacket, the one I had bought him for his birthday, was soaked through. His perfectly styled hair hung limp against his skull. He looked pathetic, desperate, broken. Everything he had once called me. But this was not the end of my story. This was the crescendo of a symphony of consequence that had been building since the moment I heard him laugh at my expense in a restaurant 3 weeks ago. The moment I learned that love, to Devin White, was an arrangement, and I had just collected the final payment. My name is Melinda Holland, and until 3 weeks ago, I believed I was living a fairy tale. The kind where love conquers all and happily ever after is not a myth. I should have known better. I am an accountant. Numbers do not lie. People do. It started on a Thursday in October. The air had a crisp bite that made you want to curl up with someone you loved, share a bottle of wine, and pretend the world outside did not exist. I had been planning our dinner for weeks, reservations at the Riverstone on 5th, the same restaurant where Devin had first told me he loved me 8 months earlier. I was in front of the mirror, adjusting the black dress he had asked me to buy, the one he said brought out the intensity in my eyes. Those same eyes stared back at me, bright with anticipation. I had news. My promotion to senior partner at Nelson & Associates had come through with a substantial raise. The future stretched before us like a golden road. My phone buzzed. Devin's name lit the screen. "Hey, beautiful." His voice was smooth as ever. "I have to cancel tonight." The lipstick slipped from my fingers and clattered to the floor. "Cancel? We have had these reservations for. My parents need me," he said. "Family business. Private." I swallowed my disappointment and told him that family came first. He called me the best, promised to make it up to me, and hung up. I sat in the dress that suddenly felt too hopeful and tried to ignore the knot of unease that had been tightening for weeks. I should have stayed home. Instead, 40 minutes later, I was walking down 5th Street under a hoodie and a cap, telling myself I was only clearing my head. The Riverstone glowed warm against the October dark. Through the glass, I saw couples leaning across candlelit tables, sharing the life I thought I was living. I was turning away when I saw him. Devin, back to the window, fingers through his hair, the telltale gesture he made when he was nervous. Across from him sat a woman whose laughter lit the room. Beside them, smiling with parental pride, sat Loretta and Charles White. I slipped into a small table behind theirs, half concealed by a pillar. I held the menu like a shield and listened as Loretta said, "Brielle, darling, you look radiant." Charles beamed. "We are so glad you two found your way back." Brielle. I knew the name. Devin's college girlfriend. The one who left for a West Coast career. The one who got away. "I never should have left," Brielle said, voice soft as music. "When I got the offer back in New York, I knew it was our second chance." I watched Devin's fingers intertwine with hers. The same fingers that had traced promises along my skin days earlier. "I never stopped loving you," he said. The words were a knife twisted in my chest. Loretta asked, "What about Melinda?" Devin's laugh was cold. "That pathetic girl? She is just my walking automated teller machine." The menu slid from my hands. He went on, casual as weather. He had used my card for this dinner. He had her moving in next week, after I covered the security deposit for their new place. Charles nodded with approval. Why work when some desperate girl will pay for everything? Their laughter sounded like breaking glass. I listened 10 more minutes as they mapped a future on my dime. I rose on shaking legs and caught my reflection, hollow-eyed, broken, the words he would have used for me. But as I walked away, something inside me crystallized. The pain was sharp and immediate, and beneath it was something colder, harder, resolve. I did not remember the walk home, only that when I reached my apartment, I saw my life with new eyes. The watch he said was an heirloom. I had later found the receipt in my purse. The designer clothes I bought him in my closet. The laptop he used for freelance design that never produced clients or income. His toiletries by my sink. His shoes by my door. 8 months of systematic manipulation disguised as love. The anger came in waves, hot, then cold as calculation. Underneath was shame. I am accomplished, respected, meticulous. I had become a resource to be exploited. That was when the plan formed. I started with his belongings. Every shirt, pair of shoes, device with my name on the receipt. I gathered them the way I conduct audits, methodically, with precision. The rain had started again when I reached the front entrance. Perfect. I opened the door and poured Devon's life onto the sidewalk. The birthday jacket soaked in seconds. Leather shoes filled with rain. Cologne, silk ties, cashmere. Everything that made him feel too good to earn. Mrs. Green from Forby passed with her dog and paused. "Spring cleaning?" she asked, eyes knowing. "Something like that," I said. "Good," she said. "Sometimes the air gets cleaner when we let things go." I watched 8 months of Devon White puddle in the gutter, and knew it was not nearly enough. I opened my laptop. If I was only an automated teller machine to him, then it was time to show him what an automated teller machine with a forensic mind could do. Revenge is not cold. It is meticulous. I began with the cards. The Black American Express I had given him for emergencies held charges for restaurants I never visited, hotel rooms during weekends spent with his sick uncle in New Jersey, shopping sprees for someone else. $15,000 in unauthorized charges, bolstered by small, frequent cash advances. I documented everything, screenshots, printouts, spreadsheets cross-referenced with dates and times. Then I opened his laptop. His email, his social accounts, his messages synced and backed up. The emails with Brielle went back 6 months, planning, mocking the rich girl, strategizing how to extract the most from me before leaving. The most damning were his texts with his friend Jordan Tate, a small-time schemer. "Money train at full steam," Devon wrote. "She paid my car insurance for the year. Talked about combining finances as a step toward marriage. How much do you think she is worth?" Jordan asked. Devon described my promotion, my apartment, my savings. "She thinks I am her soulmate. It is almost sad. Almost." The word sat in my chest like iron. He planned to ghost me after I paid the deposit on their new place. Girls like her always find another to pay. Thursday brought clear sun and purpose. I dressed in my best black suit, the one that made me look like what I am, a woman who can collapse a life with calls and a file. My first stop was Nelson and Associates. My partner, Elise Hall, looked up and read my face instantly. "You look like someone about to ruin a very specific week," she said. Elise had spent 10 years as a forensic accountant with the Federal Bureau of Investigation before joining our firm. She sees through lies the way others see through glass. I told her everything. The fraud, the digital trail, the pattern. By the end, her expression had narrowed into professional fury. "He left a trail even a first year could follow," she said. "What do you want?" "Everything legal," I said. "And perhaps a few things that sit very near the edge but never cross it." Elise smiled without humor. My favorite place to stand. While Elise worked her network, I called card companies, flagged transactions, and alerted the apartment complex where Devon planned to move with Brielle that any deposit from my information was fraudulent. Then I called Miranda Brooks, my college roommate, now a senior producer at Channel 7 News. Miranda specialized in consumer protection, stories that warned and protected. "How would you like to expose a serial romance scammer targeting professional women?" I asked. "If he did it to me, there may be others." Miranda's tone sharpened. "We will find them," she said, "and we will put the truth on air." Elise stepped into my doorway with news. Detective Raymond Carter, Financial Crimes, has Devon White on his radar. 3 prior complaints. Same pattern. No arrests because victims were too embarrassed to press charges. "I am not embarrassed," I said. Elise nodded. I told him that. Detective Carter wanted to meet that afternoon. With my evidence and their files, there would be grounds for multiple counts: fraud, identity theft, grand larceny. The relief felt like oxygen. But legal consequences were not enough. He had taken money, yes, but he had also taken months of my life and my trust. I wanted truth in the open. Friday evening, in the same black dress, I set the stage. Devon had texted all day, confused, concerned, then angry. He did not show up because bravery is scarce when the deck no longer favors you. I called him. I was tired from a crisis at the firm. Could he meet me for dinner? Of course, he said. Where? The Riverstone, 8 o'clock, I said, and heard his breath hitch. He was supposed to meet Brielle. He hesitated, then agreed. Wear the blue shirt I bought you, I added. The one that brings out your eyes. The silence on the line was a small victory. I called Miranda. Her team would be across the street with cameras. I would wear a small mic. Detective Carter would be present, off camera, ready to move. Elise would trigger a broad financial alert once Devin was in custody. The package for Brielle would arrive at work on Monday. Receipts, screenshots, a ledger of every dollar Devin stole from me to spend on her. Devin was at a corner table, not the same one, but near enough to remind me where I had overheard my own erasure. He stood when I approached, smile bright as a blade. I sat, noted the transmitter hidden under my bracelet, and asked for water. He ordered wine and swallowed half his glass in one motion. "Tell me about the crisis," he said, reaching for my hand. "We are a team." "Are we?" I asked. I spoke calmly about 8 months of expenses I had covered: clothes, food, insurance, his phone bill, the planned deposit. "What exactly do you contribute?" He flushed. "Love is not money." "Then you will not mind if I cancel the cards and split things equally," I said. He faltered. "I am between jobs, my design business." "Which I have never seen," I said. "No clients, no deliverables. But I have seen your texts. With Jordan. And I know about Brielle. And the others." His face went white. "You were here," he whispered. "You heard." "I heard everything," I said. "Every joke about the walking automated teller machine. Every plan you made with my money." His hands shook. He searched for charm and found none left. "You do not understand," he said. "Brielle and I have history. Funded by my accounts," I said. "Every dinner, every gift, every hotel room." "I was going to pay you back," he muttered. "With what?" I asked. "You have no income that is not stolen." I slid a folder across the table. "Detective Carter is waiting. The charges include identity theft, fraud, grand larceny, conspiracy. And here," I added, spreading the contents, "are Sarah Mitchell's statements, Jessica Williams's notes, and Renee Porter's reports. You ran the same play on all of us." He stared at the evidence like it was a cliff edge. "You have 2 choices," I said. "Come quietly and negotiate, or run and make it worse." The cameras are rolling, by the way. Channel 7 is doing a piece on romance scammers. The last of his composure collapsed. "Why are you doing this to me?" he asked. "Because you made me believe I was pathetic," I said. "Because you turned care into a weakness to exploit. Because someone has to make sure you never do this again." I stood, smoothed my dress, and walked toward the entrance. Detective Carter stepped forward. "Miss Holland," he said. "He is all yours, Detective," I replied. The arrest was swift. The cuffs clicked shut with a sound I felt in my bones. Conversations hushed. Devin White, once all charm and confidence, walked out with his head down, shoulders hunched beneath the weight of a life he had built on other people's backs. Outside, Miranda's cameras caught the moment he realized the city would see him for what he was. At the station, I gave my statement. "Most victims are too embarrassed to come forward," Detective Carter said. "You just helped close cases that have been open for years." I left and called Elise. "It is done," I said. "Release it." She would send our analysis to banks and regulators. His methods flagged. His accounts frozen. "What about Brielle?" I asked. "I dug into her," Elise said. "She has a history, different style, similar con on the West Coast. The Los Angeles Police Department has been looking for her. They will be visiting. By Monday, evidence packages would reach her employer, her landlord, and her family in Ohio." The story aired the following evening. Romance scammer targets professional women led the broadcast. There were interviews with prior victims, a clear map of his methods, and a quiet dignity in how Miranda told it. My phone filled with messages, reporters, friends, colleagues, my mother. But the call that mattered came just before midnight. "This is Sarah Mitchell," the voice said. "I was in the story. I wanted to thank you. For 3 years I have carried shame like armor. Tonight I realized it was not my fault." "None of it was," I said. We spoke of Devin's identical script, of the precision with which he had singled us out. Each shared detail dissolved a little of the loneliness I did not know I still held. More women came forward in the days that followed. Jessica Williams, Renee Porter, 3 others who had never reported. The prosecutor assembled a pattern that was impossible to ignore. The Federal Bureau of Investigation joined when it became clear that Devin and Brielle crossed state lines to coordinate. Devin's trial moved fast. With 6 victims, more than $200,000 documented, and a digital trail rivaling a blueprint, the jury did not take long. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, followed by supervised probation. I sat in the front row with the women he had hurt. When the verdict came, I did not feel triumph. I felt closure. Brielle pleaded guilty in California and received 3 years. She cooperated to help locate additional victims and recover assets. I did not guess at her motives. The result was justice for more people, and that mattered more than why. Through asset forfeiture, insurance, and restitution, I recovered about 60% of what Devin stole. Work transformed. Nelson and Associates began taking on more fraud cases. I founded Holland Financial Investigations, a consulting practice dedicated to financial analysis, asset recovery, and victim advocacy. We grew to 12 employees and a caseload spanning the eastern United States. Months later, in Central Park before a documentary interview for Stolen Hearts, a man approached me. "Are you Melinda Holland?" he asked. "I am Michael Edwards, a financial crimes prosecutor with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Your testimony and analysis changed how we prosecute these cases. Victims are coming forward because you spoke." He asked if I would consult on a new case. I said I would listen. His card was warm in my palm. Michael and I moved slowly from colleagues to something more. He respected my work and did not flinch at my boundaries. He admired my independence without trying to own it. We built our relationship with care, mutual respect first, then tenderness. We spoke about living together, even marriage one day, but this time I let wisdom walk beside hope. Years passed. An email arrived, Devin White parole hearing. He was eligible for early parole after serving 4 years of his 7-year sentence. As a victim, I could submit a statement. I called Detective Carter. "I will attend," I said. "I will describe the impact of his crimes and the importance of monitoring repeat offenders. But I will not let fear run my life." On the day of the hearing, I did not ask the board to decide one way or another. I asked for vigilance. I asked for awareness of patterns. I asked them to see the women who had come after me because I had spoken. When it ended, I stepped into the hall and felt the quiet that follows truth. Back at my office, rain traced silver down the windows. Another case file waited, another pattern of affection weaponized into extraction. We had work to do. My phone rang. "Holland Financial Investigations," I said. "My name is Amanda," the voice whispered. "I think my boyfriend is doing to me what Devin did to you. I saw the documentary. I do not know what to do." I felt the familiar ache and the steadying resolve that comes after it. "You came to the right place," I said. "Tell me everything." As Amanda spoke, I thought of the woman I had been 4 years earlier, standing in a doorway with shaking hands, believing my generosity made me foolish. I had been wrong about that. Generosity is a gift. It needs only the guardrails of respect and honesty to remain a strength. My revenge was never the footage on the evening news or the clatter of handcuffs, though both mattered. My revenge was refusing to let his cruelty define me. It was building a life that protects others from men like him. It was turning pain into purpose and vulnerability into strength. Devin White tried to reduce me to a ledger line. In the end, he created his own worst nightmare, a woman who understands the math of the heart and the law, who will sit with the frightened and turn fear into a plan. I pulled a fresh legal pad close and uncapped my pen. "Start from the beginning," I said to Amanda. "We will make sure this man never hurts you or anyone else again." If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.